you're a brand whether you like it or not. And what does brand really mean? It's your reputation of what other people think of you.
Yeah.
I think that was the great definition. And I think that's what John Wood is.
I think some people who you can get to a stage where you become good enough at something to where you can teach it, right?
Yeah.
It's saying something else to where even if you get to that point and even if you are teaching it, you're still practicing it for yourself.
You know, I had these lazy days where I'd fuck around, like full transparency. But Jerry, he's just go, go, go.
Think about, like you just mentioned, Maidana, for example, or Adrian Broner, or, you know, there's a lot of fighters, you know, their personal lives, they're not living healthy. Whereas Mayweather is always training.
When Jerry came over here, right? When he says something, he'll do it.
He does what he says.
Right.
You know, I mean, everyone should do what they say, right?
Yeah.
It's just so rare.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
Yeah. If I'm going to think of God, I would think of God as the programmer, the person who created the source code, the simulation that we're living in.
All right, man. Back on it with my video guy, Adam. He just got back from Alaska. Just a little bit of context, for over a month in your motorcycle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn. That's like, we were just talking about this podcast before we get into our topics for today. You were gone for over a month and you rode on a motorcycle from here, from Vegas to Alaska.
To the very top, yeah.
That's so crazy. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, just I mean, I find that wild. I feel like it'll set the tone for this podcast.
Yeah, you know, like I was telling you earlier, 6-7 years ago, I can't remember, I went all the way down to the bottom of South America on my motorcycle. So my goal at some point was to go to the top.
Yeah.
Which is basically as far as you can go up, right?
Fuck.
And
for some reason, I didn't think, I thought it was like Hawaii or something. And I thought you had to take a boat there. I was like, wait, you're going on a motorcycle?
Well, they have cruises that go to Alaska, you know, so that seems reasonable.
Right.
Yeah. Because a lot of Alaska is inaccessible by road.
Okay.
So most people, if you want to see some real shit, you get in a boat or you get in a plane.
Sure.
But there's not a lot of roads there.
Okay.
And so when you do get there and you know, it's kind of a popular place to go for people who do what I do, which is, you know, adventure riding, which is on and off road motorcycling.
Yeah.
Because once you get there, your options are limited on pavement. So in order to get to the top or in order to get to certain places that are popular, you have to actually get off road, and that's when things become fun or difficult.
Sure. You know? Depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
If you're adventurous enough, then. What's going on, guys? If you're enjoying this podcast, please don't forget to like the videos and subscribe to the channel. Only if you're getting value out of it on YouTube and also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to leave a rating and follow. And also, I also write a blog newsletter from what I learned from my incredible guests that I have on. So sign up for the email list and get updates on the podcast. Thank you for your love and support. Now back to the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that's, for me, that's what I want. So
sure.
Once I got there, and then, you know, I had all these plans when I got up, but most of the roads that once I got up there were closed because of the fires.
Wow. Yeah,
there's a lot of fires. So that's just the way.
It's not amazing, but yeah.
It's crazy. That's just how these things work. You know?
So just a little bit of context. I've had Adam on here before, and, you know, we trained in Muay Thai together at Sicat MMA. And I've been training him personally. He helps me out with my videos, which, as you see here, it's all, you know, to his credit over here, how the picture quality, video quality has gone on the podcast. So I thank him for that. So we kind of help each other out. I train him like one-on-one training, you know, just to fix minor details with his Muay Thai game. And he's come up
major details. And major details.
And major details, you know. So, but a little coaching helps a long way. But I wanted to talk about your motorcycle trip because Adam, to me, we connect because, you're a little bit older and you have a lot of experience, and I'm 40 now as well. So there's some time experience there, and you're the person perfect enough that you're my video guy, and you're the person that has a lot of introspection, I think, due to that experience. That's why I wanted to lead with that Alaska, trip that you had, because, that shows a lot about your character. You're adventurous, like you like to do a lot of things. And with those experiences, I think comes with perspective and introspection,
Totally.
right? Yeah. So what we're going to talk about on the podcast today, and I'm excited for these ones, man, is just a little bit of what I write in my newsletters. Like, it's the lessons that I learned from each one of my guests. The one thing, right, that stuck out to me. And these guests provide me a lot of value because of the information that they give in their said experiences or in their expertise, right? Like Jerry with jiu-jitsu, John Wood with MMA. I'm very lucky and fortunate to be able to have them on, with them agreeing to be on, because it's just a wealth of knowledge. So we'll start off here. We'll start off with the great John Wood, that owns Syndicate MMA. Now, what stuck out to me with John was, what's funny is that he's a world-class MMA coach, right? Like Syndicate, fight capital of the world, blah, blah, blah. But what I really wanted to get out of the conversation was his business savviness and acumen, like his business knowledge, just because it relates to me at the season of my life. So, I'm doing these podcasts, I'm doing the kickboxing channel, and then I'm going to productize some stuff. And being in this entrepreneur, I guess, content creator space now, I need all the help that I could get. So with John Wood, one thing that stuck out to me, and as cliche and as many times as you hear this, it's always good to hear in real life. And one-on-one, because I can watch TV and it doesn't seem, real, because you're not actually there, physically there. But when he was sitting in front of me, he told me lesson number one is to have the never say die attitude, especially when it comes to business. Now, I know, we're in this kind of fight game. We go to the gym and we train, but that's what stuck out to me when it came to the business aspect of it and the fight game, right? Where we are in the martial arts self-improvement space. But yeah, he just told me, when he told me that, just have a never say die attitude, it really stuck out to me, because I think that I always tell this to people, that I'm not really good at anything besides being consistent and persistent, Yeah. So those are skills. Right? Like, those are skills that doesn't require talent.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, man?
Well, you can have all the talent, natural talent in the world, and have none of either of those two things that you just outlined, and you can be kind of useless.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true, because talent can only take you so far. I mean, I was reading this book by Tim Grover called Relentlessness. It was part of two-part series. He's the one that coached Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan. I mean, the top of the food chain when it comes to basketball. And what he noticed, and he's trained other athletes, but what he noticed that separates them from them is the hard work, perseverance, persistence, and consistency.
Yeah.
Where you're in the top 0.99% when you're in the NBA. But a lot of those guys, they're tall, they're talented, they have the genetics, but they're just fucking lazy. See? That's why it stuck out to me with John Wood when he said, "Oh, have a never say die attitude," because if you just keep going, or depending on why you're doing it, it's what's going to keep you going, right? That's never say that. Regardless of what's going on in your life, you just have to keep going.
Yeah, that's true. And I think I don't know where tenacity and persistence come from, because you can't really teach it.
It's true. Do you think you learn it through experience, or just
I think so.
at times?
Yeah. I think you learn it from experience, or I think it's just innate.
Or maybe you have like a mentor. You know what I mean? Kind of like through his behaviors, you kind of, if you're aware enough to have one, right?
That's what I'm saying. Is you have to have a certain amount of tenacity and grit to even seek out a mentor to begin with.
Right. You have to have that self-awareness to wanna. Yeah.
So, I mean, where does it come from? I don't know. It's kind of a complex question with a complex answer, but some people have it, some people don't.
Yeah.
That's what you could say.
Exactly. I think, it's weird, huh? It's like you could stay on this treadmill forever and be lazy as shit and not have a purpose, say for life.
Yeah.
And look, man, I'm not really knocking on anyone because what I once were, I'm not anymore, right? Or what I once wasn't, I am now.
Yeah.
Because of the lessons that we learned. And I think going back to John Wood's point is that, man, it just, that one statement just really hit me so hard because now you have evidence that, like, look, you can't fake your successes, right? I mean, he runs world-class gym, world-class fighters go there. He's won titles for them, right? Like through his coaching.
Yeah.
And you can't fake the funk. It's just that one advice is like, oh shit, hey, what I see or what I'd like to imagine when he says that is that along with that comes all the, I guess you could say, hardships, right? He probably got turned down a lot, like he said, you know, he got into a lot of, I wouldn't say controversies, but conflicts with like maybe fighters and, you know, I can only imagine, right? Like it's part of the business.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know what I used to think when, because quick story is that when I was in San Diego, not to put anyone on the spot, when I was going to this said Muay Thai gym, there was a lot of business happenings. And then a lot of students would say, well, this is this, this is this. After I got talking to the owner, and now that I'm in the business space, it's like a hearsay, she said kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like, wait, the coach is just trying to do what's best for the business, but then, you can't disregard like what the students think.
Yeah.
So what I mean is that sometimes I think being in the majority part of going to like a gym, you'll hear a lot of things about, that gym owner really like, you know, he's like cutthroat and stuff like that. And he just fired, you know, this person. It's like, wait, what's his side of the story?
Yeah.
Right? Like, hold on. Yeah, I know the students gossip gets all over the place. That's the number one problem. Yeah. Right? It spreads like wildfire. But then it's like, what does the fucking business owner have to say, man? What's his side of the story, right? Like business is fucking hard enough as it is to run it. Super. So you have to have like a set balance, you know, within that. So my point being is that that's part of the challenges of being like not only a business level, a high level business owner that's expanding, right? You were here, you were taking the videos. And he was saying he has big dreams for, you know, he wanted a bowling alley in his house. Yeah. And I was like, for what you've done, that's not even like a question. Yeah. You know, to me, I'm like, wait, he was saying it like he has this grand picture of a bowling alley. I was like, dude, you could probably get that in like the next year. So you don't to have a bowling alley. Yeah. Right. I was like, wait, you don't, yeah, exactly. I was like, you don't have like a 14-lane bowling alley at your house already? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's cool. That was a cool conversation. Yeah. And interesting too, because a lot of the times, especially when, you know, I mean, I say hi to him sometimes. He seems kind of, at first he seemed to me, and probably to a lot of people, kind of not very approachable.
Sure, I mean, right.
But I now that I, you know, being in on that podcast and
getting to know him,
seeing that side of him, he's definitely more open guy than I thought.
Hence, that's why like I feel like you're reiterating what I just said, right? It's just because, well, what's his side of things? Till you actually talk to the, you know, the fucking big boss, cutthroat, quote unquote, business owner, right? Well, fuck, like I said, he's running a fucking business with over probably like 500 active students, and you know what I mean? He has to balance out his workers. Yeah. He has to balance out like his employees and all that.
Is that the reputation he has? Is being
no, but
like hiring and firing and
no. I mean, you kind of hear these things, right? Like anything else around it's like, all right, whatever. For me, I'm old enough to distinguish, right? It's all from experience. It's kind of like, okay, well, let's take this with a grain of salt kind of thing. Yeah. But I'm not just saying that, like, there's nothing bad really that I heard, you know, oh my goodness, like, John, what's this? But then people will talk, right? Yep. They'll say, well, you know, I'm not getting in this. It's like, all right, buddy, you know, that's so minute that you're complaining about it. And then all of a sudden you're complaining about it to 10 other people. Yeah. And then it spreads. It's like, oh, now he's the worst thing. But again, after talking to him, it's like, what? And after being in business too, it's like, dude, he's just doing the right, what he thinks is right for the business. Like, you know, once it's all said and done, it's his fucking business.
Yeah,
right.
It's true. And it's got to be tricky to do what he's doing, at least having like an MMA gym.
Oh, dude.
Because the personalities that that you're probably going to encounter,
Yeah.
And I can speak firsthand to it. So you can go into any business with relationships and then exit that business with, all those bridges burned.
I mean,
and it's,
you hear that a lot too.
Yeah.
You
It's no fault
Yeah.
to anyone, really.
Mm.
It's just that's the way business is,
Yeah.
Friendships are easy to maintain because they're friendships. And, whenever like you and I, when we see each other, we're doing podcast stuff or we're training or we're at the gym, it's all basically kind of fun and
yeah.
I guess you would say recreational based, activities. But once you bring a friend into business or work, the playing field changes a little bit.
Even like as a roommate, you know what I mean? Not even going as far as just being business.
Yeah.
Roommate's a whole different thing if you're best friends. And then, if
there's a lot of parallels though. Like it's just like you're bringing them in as a life partner.
Right. That's a good way to put it.
And you don't have to be married to them, but if you're going into business or like you said, you have a roommate, you're going to be spending a lot of time with these people.
Yeah.
And eventually the rough edges are going to show.
Yeah. And, going back to the whole like business owner, because once you get, pretty high profile like that, people are going to talk automatically because you are the subject, right? You have the status now, and then you are the subject of what you're built around the ecosystem. So what I like to put it is that you're a brand, whether you like it or not. And what does brand really mean? It's your reputation of what other people think of you.
Yeah.
I think that was the great definition. And I think that's what John Wood is. And not only that, relating to that, it's not just him. It's like for instance, Carlsbad Kickboxing, right? This guy, and he's a really good guy. I had a good, I guess you could say, gym relationship with, his name was Rolando, right? And the things that I'd hear, it's like, it's just gossip, right? It's just smoke screens. And it's like, wait, why'd that guy fired? Oh, because Rolando wasn't like paying him this or paying him that. And then when I talked to Rolando, I was like, oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, how much did he expect to get paid for teaching a 1 hour class? You know what I mean? It's like, you have to see both sides of the story. But then from what I learned, that's why I wanted to pick John Wood's brain is that, business, what I'm starting to get now from too is on a small scale, obviously, is that it's just that. It's like, well, you can't make everyone happy. And when you can't make everyone happy, some people will be, distraught. And then, so just to reiterate with lesson number 1, have a never say die attitude when it comes to business, when it comes to fighting, if you're a professional fighter, with anything in life. And I promise you, if you say consistent enough, persistent enough, everyone else will quit. And you're just going to keep going. That's what's going to separate you from a lot of people. Yeah, again, I sound like a broken record, but like this podcast, 90% of people don't get past 3 episodes. 99% of the people don't get past 20 episodes.
Wow, that's
a crazy statistic, right?
That's a crazy statistic.
And you can scale up.
So you're
there.
at 0.1% at this point.
More, because think about it. And I'm not gloating, but think about it. Is that we're at 74. This is our 74th episode.
Wow. So
if you scale up 50, imagine I just said 20 fall off 99%. What's 50? Yeah. That's got to be 0.3. You know what I mean? So that's why that's again relating back to John. Just never say die, man. Keep going with your pursuits, and then you're gonna outlast everyone. That you're almost the only one left in the market, right? And I think that's exactly what John Wood did. Yeah. From what I hear from business entrepreneurs and stuff like that.
Especially that market, and especially today, the MMA's popularity is through the roof, and so there's a lot of gyms now.
I mean, dude, that's how it happens though, right?
Yeah.
He was doing it when it wasn't popular.
That's it.
So, and then all of a sudden he almost struck a gold mine, but not out of pure luck, because that's how it happens. Yeah. There's like these trends that happened, right? You know what I mean? And it probably obviously happened before that, before UFC got all big, right? He was already on a trajectory on the way up.
Sure.
It's just all of a sudden, here we are, like the UFC's
Yeah.
biggest organization.
It is. And there's a fair bit of luck involved, or in the right time in the right place. But
yeah.
But then again, I mean, still there's still a lot of people who were opening gyms and or involved with the MMA sport and who just didn't make it.
You make and with the luck
reason,
thing, with the luck thing, you make your own luck. Honestly, or you could put the luck in your favor, right? You can't make luck happen. You could put the odds in your favor.
Put the odds in your favor.
Yeah, a high percentage of it too, right? Like the statistics show it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When you have numbers there, now it's tangible.
Right.
So yeah, we'll move on to the next one here. Of course, after talking about John, we have to talk about, I guess you could say, his right-hand guy, Jerry Shapiro, right? With Jerry, I wrote this newsletter about him. What's the one thing that sticks out with Jerry is that the one quote is, he walks it like he talks it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great because like I wrote on my newsletter, your actions speak so loudly that I can't hear a word you say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Never take people on their word. Never.
Great.
And the thing is and that's by Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Is it really?
For context, yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's said a lot of fucking mic drop quotes with that guy.
He's definitely up there.
He's a goat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with Jerry, man, I over the years, right? Like the way he's coached and the way he was able to mold himself is incredible, because all these years, I've been going for 6 years there now. He rolls every fucking time. He still competes. He's 38 years old. I got to pinpoint that out because even at 38, not to sell myself short, but I had these lazy days where I'd fuck around, like full transparency. But Jerry, he's just go, go, go. Like in my perception, he's just a go, go, go type of guy. He has a family, right? He has kids, he has a wife, and he manages that very well from talking to him. And like how far he's come along. And it's not, of course it's the coaching and the lessons that we learn from him, right? Like the jiu-jitsu moves.
Yeah.
But dude, just being an observant of like watching him, he rolls like night and day. Literally like in the morning and then at night, and then he'll teach a class and then he'll work out. He walks it like he's talking.
Yeah.
And that goes for every aspect in life. That's why I respect it so much, is because it shows a lot of your character. Like that is character. That is the definition of character.
Yeah, totally. And I think some people who, you can get to a stage where you become good enough at something to where you can teach it, right?
Yeah.
But it's saying something else to where even if you get to that point and even if you are teaching it, you're still practicing it for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're still growing and you're still, working on your craft. That's cool.
Oh yeah.
Because a lot of people will hang it up at that point. They're just like, I made it.
Yes.
Now I'm gonna teach it. I'm gonna give back, and then that's kind of it for my progression. But
right. They
cool.
stop learning.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I was going to this gym, and that was kind of there's this instructor. He's over there in a high level, but at some point, I think throughout the years, it might be just for doing it for so long and wear and tear maybe, but then he'd kind of just go around and I guess you could say show the move, and then he'd like kind of preach to the students.
Yeah.
But the problem is with that, and I don't know, like it's, again, people look at it different. The way I observe it, someone might observe it different. This isn't to knock on anyone's credibility. I just want to say that because look, I'm not top of the food chain in my craft either. I'm learning like anyone else, but I think from my perspective, there comes a point where it's kind of like a boxer, right? Or any athlete for that point. They usually, after their career, I think they're so worn out that they get fat, and you know what I mean. They like overeat, like Ricky Hatton, or when they get older.
Boxers are notorious for that.
Yeah, Madonna, like you know what I mean. Yeah, it's just like they go off the rails.
I think money has a lot to do with it, though.
Sure. I mean,
Boxers,
but you're right.
Once you get to a certain point when you're a boxer, I mean, you get paid insanely,
Mm-hmm.
and money changes you.
You're right.
Not for all. I mean, there's
Sure.
I mean, you know, Mayweather is a great example because, you know, he's always been the hardest working guy in the sport, despite his brand and despite his character. You know, he's the guy that goes to the club.
Yeah,
but he doesn't drink.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll go to the club at, you know, stay out till 4 a.m. with all his entourage and his homies. But then after the club, when they're all drunk and in bed, he's out running miles.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what he does. And despite, you know, there's a lot of things to not like about him, but exactly what you said, he walks it like he talks it.
Yeah. And the thing about that is that I think going back to, or just a quick thing about like Mayweather, I think it's just, regardless of what we think about him, right? You have to look at the guy that's artistic at a sport. Like
100%.
It's not, we're not talking about the character. You could almost distinguish it from a different topic now. I mean, now you're bashing his personal life compared to what he does in the ring. They're two separate things, right? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he kind of like, I mean,
but that's what I mean. He doesn't really live that personal life either. Like it's almost like it's think about, like you just mentioned, Maidana, for example, or Adrian Broner, or you know, there's a lot of fighters. You know, their personal lives, they're not living healthy. They're not doing mentally or physically healthy things on their recreational time. Whereas Mayweather is always training.
Sure,
he's always a fighter.
Yeah,
and that's what's cool about it. I like that.
Yeah.
You know, and you can speak to it because that's what I think there's a bit of smoke with his brand. It's like, oh, I'm the guy with the cars, and I'm the guy I go to the club, you know, and I got the girls and all that, but he's not smoking.
Sure.
He's not drinking.
Yeah, dude.
He's not sitting on the couch watching TV. Dude, he's out 5 a.m., you know, after the club, and he's out running miles, and he's you know, he's working out all the time, even when he's not fighting.
Yeah,
which is amazing to me.
Yeah,
that's an athlete, man.
That's an athlete. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And the thing is that whenever I see these Instagram clips, the very rare like advice that he gives, I'm like, that hits the spot. Totally. Like it's not what it's not the things that what people say about him anymore. He drops a dime, like some advice, like don't listen to what people say. He feels it from the heart because he walks it like he talks it. Like I'm like, oh, I believe him. Yeah. So we got out of the, you know, like that was just an example.
It's just relevant to the conversation.
It definitely is. It definitely is. And I'm glad that we went there. But going back to like Jerry, everything in life, man, and this is just a basic principle, is that you are what you do.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a simple quote, but it's so wholehearted and heartfelt, like to me at least, because when Jerry came over here, right? When he says something, he'll do it. So the first time I had him here, and this is something that stuck out with me. This guy was early. He showed up. Like, you know what I mean? He does what he says. He does what he fucking says. That's not just even rolling, like I explained, with all the students and him rolling in competition still at the age of 38. And I keep saying 38 because it's amazing. Like he's rolling at a very high level. You know what I mean? It's what he's done all his life. And it's just, he is who that person is at the gym. Punctual, do what he says, always in class on time. Yeah. Right. You know what I mean?
He expects that comes to a surprise. That comes as to a surprise to you. Like meaning, he does what he says.
Right.
You know, I mean, everyone should do what they say. Right.
Yeah.
It's just so rare.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why. Yeah, you're right. You just said it. That's why it sticks out to me.
Yeah.
It's because it's very, very rare. Yeah. And even the most, I guess you could say, respectable people, you know, in their craft, they don't have that trait. I think, okay, so going off almost in another tangent, that's why with you, right, in particular, I'll give you that credit because you do what you say. That's why we're having this discussion on a podcast, because what you learn in business now, and I'm sure you know this because you're in business, is that I want people with integrity. Meaning
100%.
it's punctuality, it comes with all that, right? There's an umbrella, there's integrity, and then there's an umbrella right there that like it's a spider web effect. It's like punctuality, do what you say, right? Be assertive, trust, right?
Yeah.
And that all comes with that. It all comes with that. Just because you're good at your craft, it doesn't mean you're those things.
No,
you just got really good at one thing because you focused on it.
Yeah, no, and I've encountered people like that my entire life.
Yeah.
It's just someone who's like you want to hire, like, oh, this guy's great.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do what he says. It's just
he's really fucking good at what he does.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible. You know what I mean? But it's like, dude, you're now harming the said business more than you're helping it now because you're very talented, but then you just don't show up.
There's a sting to that, man.
Yeah.
And it's and that's why I know what it feels like to be on the other side of that and to perceive somebody who's not credible.
Yeah.
Because if you're not credible, it says a lot about your person.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. No, it definitely is. That's what it shows. So again, lesson number 2, with Jerry, our head BJJ coach.
Yeah.
Again, he walks it like he talks it. He rolls every round, and if he doesn't, there's a pretty good. I'm gonna give him the utmost, like no doubt about, like there's something going on. You know what I mean? He's one of those people where it's like, wait, he's late. Wait, what happened? Oh shit!
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, he's always late. Like, you know how if someone's always late, it's like, oh, he's always late. But then with like say Jerry, if he doesn't show, to be expected. Yeah. With Jerry, it's like, wait, is he okay?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but that's a good thing. Yeah. That's a great thing to have.
Totally.
All right. So next one is Evan Elder, UFC, lightweight. Sorry if I butchered that, Evan, but I'm pretty sure it's lightweight. And what I wanted to, a lot of like I've had like 2 or 3 fighters that read a lot of books on here. He's one of them. And he's all about like the stoicism. I believe he's either Christian or Catholic, but he reads the Bible. And what the Bible to me is, it's like scripture. It's just like a philosophy, book. But one thing that stuck out to me with Evan in this podcast is that usually when people are spiritual like that or religious like that, they shy away from it. But this guy doesn't. And I think it's so important to say, because personally for me, I still have a problem with that. You know what I mean? Not with Evan, being him, with myself. Like sharing particularly when it comes to religion. And I think that stems from like childhood, because my parents were always religious and they were Catholics. Like I was born Catholic, but I wasn't sold on it, right? I was always like a logical thinker. And I was like, this is weird. Like, we got to go to this church, and then with all these statues and the priests, like it's almost like cult-like.
Yeah.
That's how I saw it growing up. But then when I was talking to him, it's much more than that. Like, he doesn't hide away with all the things that's going on in the world. And to be, in the UFC, and he'll post these stories with the Bible and stuff like that. To some people, it's kind of like, oh. And I still have friends till this day, which, when you talk about spirituality and stuff like that, they kind of shy away from it because they think you're gonna like convert them.
Yeah.
Like one of those like what Mormon, and excuse me if I'm misjudging this, but then like the Mormons on the bikes, they come to your house and then they, it's like and all that, like salespeople, like and so there's, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's the stigma, and I respect the fact that he doesn't shy away from it. What do you think about that, man?
Yeah, there is a stigma, that's for sure. And it happens. And, I can't say I'm spiritual per se, but, there's always that, here comes the Jesus.
Right.
And he's going to, but on the other side of that coin, I used to be Mormon. I was Mormon when I was a child.
Sure.
And I see your point. It was, very cult-like. And, but I do see the appeal to it now that I'm older.
Yep.
because there was a while there where I'm like, okay, I don't get this. I don't understand why you guys go to church. I don't understand. But now it makes sense to me because now I understand human nature better.
Yeah, that's a great point. What do you mean by that? Can you elaborate?
Because it's community. Religion is a community.
Sure.
You go to church
Agreed.
every Sunday and you're around 500 of your closest friends.
Especially if you immerse yourself into it.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people, just like me, dude, and go on with your story, and I want to get a point across. But then, yeah, you're right. It's a community, especially if you immerse yourself in it, because some people, they kind of go to church and then go to church and go, right? Yeah. But if you find a good one, right? It really is a community, like anything else.
It is.
Like a martial arts gym or something.
We need that as humans.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just a community, it's a community of support.
Yes.
So you can actually lean on.
It's like a fellowship.
It's a fellowship and people that you can lean on in hard times. Mm-hmm. That's something atheists don't have.
Yeah, right.
And it can become somewhat lonely. And I remember, while there was a while back, I spent a Christmas where, I think my wife was away and my brother wasn't there. And, there was just a lack of family that particular year. And I remember driving by church on Christmas Eve and the parking lot was full.
Yeah.
And, and I'm like, oh man, they're having a party in there.
Right.
It's just like no one feels lonely in that place.
Yeah.
They're with their people. And I thought that was cool. And I'm like, I see the appeal of it. And being, someone who's agnostic, I get the whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
yeah, man. So yeah, so going a little bit back to Evan again, that it stuck out because I think it takes a lot of courage. Because I think that's due to, like with politics and everything, like people go to war for religion.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's literally what people go to war for.
Yeah.
But then it's a smokescreen, right? Like to get their bottom line.
Sure.
But still, it still has a lot of stigma. It's still kind of like, oh God, nowadays, I mentioned this before, nowadays God is a dirty word. The word God is a dirty word, right? It's almost like when you say God, people kind of cringe a little bit. They're like, whoa, are you that fucking guy?
Yeah.
And for me, nowadays, you can call it whatever you want. You could call it Jesus, you could call it Lord, you could call it the divine, you could call it your intuitions, the universe.
No, that's it.
Right?
Yeah.
But then just saying that word God has that certain like, wait, what do you mean? What do you believe in? What are you?
It's an umbrella term, I think.
It is an umbrella term, yeah.
And people...
It's gotten politicized.
It has.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think as humans, we like to, whatever your version of God is, your version of God.
Sure.
But I think, you're saying the stigma, though, it is implied that, when someone says God, they think, oh, there's a man in the sky. Or like,
right. With a beard and...
Perhaps to some people.
Sure.
But to other people, that's not what God means, so it just depends on
it's like
viewpoint.
A spirit. It's, some people think it's a God. Some people think it's the stars. Like, it's interpretation.
So I've always, the way I think about it, because I'm real simplistic and like I said, I'm not spiritual per se, but I always, if I'm going to think of God, I would think of God as the programmer, as the person who created the source code, the simulation that we're living in.
That almost makes me think like a puppet master. You know what I mean?
Not necessarily a puppet master though, because they're not pulling strings. We're not necessarily marionettes, but there's I like to think of it, the analogy as like we're living in a piece of software. Yeah. And we're not smart enough to understand the source code. Mm-hmm. It's like a dog trying to understand stoicism.
Sure.
It can't grasp it, it'll never will.
Sure, yeah.
It's
just made that way.
The brain and the mind capacity is not I would say it's not tuned to that frequency,
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the same for humans. It's like there's something that we just can't understand that's going on, that we can't comprehend. Mm-hmm. That I'd like to call God, or someone else may want to call God. And I think it's a cool way to think about it if you're not spiritual.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, that's a great point. And we can go on and on about religion. Like there's so much, to derive there. But then again, point number 3 is that he's even talked about it in the ring about his faith, right? And again, for a lot of people, I think it's respectable because due to circumstances, I've gotten very spiritual, right? I'm practicing it and I'm just getting better at it every day.
Sure.
And now, being Catholic, I started going back to my roots of being like, going to that church. But now, just for a quick story, now I go to a different church, which is Christian, which is completely different. It's so like the nuances and even not even nuances, the bigger things of it, they're completely different.
It's more fun.
Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
What it is.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it is. The community aspect of it. They're a lot younger that you could relate to, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Catholicism has a tendency of, at least it's a tendency to seem drab.
Oh man, I want to talk about this, man. Like, but we'll get into it on another podcast because like I said, I want to stick to the lessons, but then dude, I'm pretty hyped up now. But anyway, I mean, shout out Evan, man. That's one thing that stuck out to me. So the next one relating to that would be Jordan Levitt, another UFC lightweight fighter. And what stuck out to me about him, the lessons I learned from him, is that to me, he doesn't give a fuck. And that's what I respect about him the most. So, like we were talking about this before the podcast, is that look what he's doing in the ring, right? He's doing splits and stuff like that. And some people, right, from looking from the outside in, I mean, just for context, this guy has 2 kids. He just had one, recent one with his wife, right? But then in the ring, he's getting perceived so much more different. Right. Even for me, even when I had him on this podcast, right? Even like if you didn't know him as a person or you never had a conversation with him, just like we do at the gym, I say sometimes I roll with him. I love it. I really love rolling with him. I learn so much from him. When you see him in the UFC doing splits and doing dirty dancing from, that movie, like going up, some people would, I don't know what you call it. What's the term? Let's call it like feminine in the UFC, especially, and that's a great point. Even in the UFC, right? It's kind of like a testosterone driven, like I'm a fucking man because I fight, kind of. I bleed, and this is what I do, kind of thing.
High masculine threshold for MMA,
right? And then Jordan is just the opposite of that. He doesn't give a fuck. That's why I'm bringing this up. The lessons that I learned from him is like we talked about this book. Fuck, man. It's like The Confidence or How to Be Confident or something like that. It's probably it's for sure the wrong title. I'm completely butchering that. But he recommended me that book and I read a little bit of it. I didn't finish it yet. But it's the courage to be like yourself or the courage to be confident or something like that, right? And that book really derives like it's him, because like I said, you're in this big stage of the UFC, just like how Evan is, right? He's not scared. That's why it relates. He's not scared to talk about his religion. Jordan's not scared. He doesn't give a fuck, man.
Yeah.
And again, I think all humans, I think it's innate in us to care about what people think. Like when people say, I don't really give a fuck about people. Yeah, to a certain extent, but you do.
Extent, yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Like in your deepest, I bet you if someone you really care about triggered you, that's caring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I get when people say, I don't give a fuck because some people will hate and judge you for what you do.
It's called the social credit score. Yeah.
Right. Currency. Yeah. And it seems to me, at least on TV and having a conversation with him, that he's just who he is. You can look back at that podcast and then he'll tell you how it's really like compared to how he is in the ring. It's just, he's just like that. He's just that type of person.
It's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. So I guess what I'm really trying to say is that, listen, man, even though that we have this thing in us, evolutionary, innate ability, I guess you could say, to care what people think because we don't want to get excommunicated from the tribe.
Yeah.
Still, the courage to be yourself, it still takes balls.
It does,
to truly be yourself,
especially in the rubric of combat sports.
Yes,
because it's very emasculated, and I think there's room for a little bit of flamboyancy, I guess you can say.
Yeah, and that's what's really polarizing, right?
Yeah,
That's polarizing.
but I think it's good for the sport, is what I mean.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, I agree.
Instead of you're gonna
The same scripts.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
do dirty
my
dancing and
determination was spoken. You know what I mean? Like every UFC fighter almost is like, not everyone. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but then it's like cliche. It's like, yeah, I'm going to go out there, do what I do. You know what I mean? It's refreshing to hear something different or to see something different.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. So shout out Jordan Levitt, man. Dude, like I said, I love training with a guy. And when I roll with him, it's always a pleasure and he teaches me a lot. And just talking to him as, a human being, it's like really refreshing to have someone like that. So
Yeah.
that's my line. So going on to the next one, I want to talk about the future generation, man. So I wrote about this in my blog with Jackson Glass, my man that often visits MMA when he comes here or visits MMA, stays at Syndicate MMA when he comes here. And I take the Muay Thai class. He is a Muay Thai guy, but he's going into his second pro fight, I believe. And damn, him and Nazir Davis, I wrote about him in my blog. And the thing is, what struck me with this one is that when I was a kid, I don't know about you, and you could tell me more, but I wasn't never that self-aware of like my consciousness. Like I always tell them, I was like, dude, at that age, I was drunk and I was like eating bugs at the age of like 14. Like, and these guys, Jackson, I think started doing jiu-jitsu when he was like 3 or some shit. Nas, he goes like 2-3 a day. So he teaches coaches classes at the age of 20, young age of 20 something. Like, what the fuck? These kids, at least from what we do, because we do go to the same gym, they're way ahead of their time. Like, especially Jackson. Jackson is like, because he started training earlier, and that's not take anything away from Nas. Nas is a fucking animal, you know what I mean? And I love, like, he's got more personality, I guess, because he was a shy kid, when he first started going. But then the way he's bloomed and how he's content creating now and putting himself out there is respectable within itself, right? But then, like Jackson and Nas, man, that to have that self-awareness and to be coaching kids classes. I know Jackson, when I look at his stories and his Instagram, he's coaching kids classes, he's coaching adults, he's pro fighting, you know what I mean? Like, and when you talk to them, there's a certain stream of like self-awareness, of like consciousness, like they know what they're doing. They're not on autopilot just because they train. You know what I mean? They're like really strategic, I guess you could say, in what they do at a young age, dude. Jackson's like 17.
That's the thing is I have the unfortunate experience of going around with him a while back, and it's crazy because when you see him, he doesn't look intimidating at all. In fact, he looks kind of like,
sure,
kind of
just a regular teenager.
I don't, just like a torpy kid.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like.
That's what makes him dangerous.
But he's so dangerous.
My God,
and he's got a lot of power too,
bro. In the perspective, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you go on. But in the perspective of like who's gonna be, I'm not just saying this because like I'm biased, but from an outside looking in, he's one of the hottest MMA like as a kid.
I can get that.
He's one of the hottest MMA prospects in the world, I believe. And fuck.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
He just like you, when you said you had the fortunate or unfortunate, looking back at it, it was fortunate. But dude, when he turns it up on you, and look, I'm just a practitioner or whatever, but then when he turns it up, there's levels.
Oh, there's levels.
At the age of 17. And he's gotten, and that was a while ago when I sparred with him on Saturday, when he turned it up on me. He didn't hurt me, that wasn't his intention.
Yeah.
But then the intensity was turned up, and when he feints and how he frames off you, you can't do anything. If you try to counter, he's 10 steps ahead.
Yeah, and it's funny.
Same with Nas. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, there's people who look intimidating, there's especially if, jiu-jitsu guys, because you end up, it's your physique.
Yeah.
You get the big neck, you get the cauliflower ears, you start to get a, gorilla looking and the arms and shit. And you see a guy out like that, out in public, that's somebody you don't want to mess with. But then there's sleeper people, which I like, like Triple G, for example.
Yes.
I like those kind of people.
Yeah,
the guys that just don't look like they fight.
Oh, yeah.
But are incredibly deadly.
Dude, that's what I know, with the tattoos and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I aim to be, though. Let's just say I didn't have the tattoos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I aim to be that, like, just regular guy with glasses and just kind of like doing my thing. And that's not even the signal that, like, reverse signaling to where it's like, yeah, I can fuck you up even though I look that. It's just, I just want to be that guy.
Yeah, sure. No, yeah. And that's who Jackson seems to me.
Yeah.
He's just
right.
like, you wouldn't, he's very unassuming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in the gym, he's just incredible. And to know that he was only 17.
Yeah. And the interesting is when you say unassuming, it's hard to see him that way because I always see him at the gym. That's the only place I see him. So it's not like I see him out in the street.
No, imagine seeing him in Starbucks or something.
Right. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? It's like you go there, he's at the gym. You go there, that's the only place I see him.
Sure.
But I get it. Like, if you saw him at a Starbucks, you wouldn't think that. I completely get it. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's it's refreshing to hear because a lot of the reason why I started this podcast was just for that, because as a younger guy, right, as an alcoholic, as a black sheep of the family, I guess you could say, always getting in trouble in and out of detention centers, DUIs, all that. And not just me, you hear a lot of, this generation's problems as well. People have a hard time, like guys have a hard time now getting married because they're stuck at home. I don't know what the dynamic is between the men and women nowadays, right? Being that young, I mean.
Yeah.
And now they're stuck playing video games with technology, social media on the rise. You play the comparison game. We could go on and on with, and it sucks because I don't necessarily blame them. It's easy to bash on younger guys like they're lazy and stuff like that. But look, dude, they're getting shoved consumerism in their face all the time. Social media, again, dating apps, you know what I mean? And it devalues you a little bit, right? When you're swiping 100 times and you get no matches. I know we're going toward, but you see my point.
That's not and I feel bad for this generation because I would have not wanted to grow up having that,
Jesus.
those social media apps and just basically the internet the way it is now.
Yeah, can you think about, like, dude, if you were there, we just talked about you going to Alaska.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, and you're an outdoorsy person. You like to do all this shit like hunt and, all that. It's like, dude, would you have been like that if technology was prevalent? You know what I mean?
Because technology is so great that you can go to Alaska in, VR.
Right. Right.
Go to Best Buy, buy a $300
That's so funny.
VR headset, and boom, you're in another world.
Yeah.
We didn't have that when we had Indiana Jones in movies, and those were the things that inspired me to want to do things once I got older and had the means to do so.
Yeah.
But now I can't imagine growing up, and I think the antidote to that is to do what like Nas and these younger guys.
Yeah, right.
Martial arts is a great way.
Well, dude,
to just really escape all that.
Yes, bro. Kudos again to fucking Jackson and Nas, and I don't know, their upbringing, right? Like, dude,
absolutely.
Amazing kids. I had to really put the spotlight on them. That's why whenever I write these blogs, it's always the one thing that's heartfelt to me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's why I write about it.
Yeah, and they're good blogs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I really switched up the blogs just for like context. I used to, write about evolutionary psychology and what I like to write about, but then I had this idea of like, wait, I'm learning a lot from these guys. I should teach myself and write it. Mm-hmm. Pen to paper, right? Or in my case, hand to computer, typing it a hand to computer because you just learn a lot more from what you've learned from these guys. No, you're good. Yeah. And that's why we're talking about it now, the lessons that we've learned. So, I mean, again, shout out Jackson and Nas, man. You guys are the future, right?
And it's really what it comes down to is the adversity that they've dealt with already at 17.
Yep.
There's, and to be that good at striking, as they are, most kids, most people don't experience that adversity in their entire lives.
Right.
But yet they've got it all before the age of 17. Which is, I don't know how old Nas is. I'm sure he's a little older, but I'm just referring to Jackson, just wow.
Yeah.
Because I was a jerk off until I was like 35.
For sure, dude. Same here.
Like maybe I need to do something different.
Yeah.
And that's to no fault of my parents or anything. That was just my personality.
Sure.
But yeah, if I could rewind the clock, I would have, I would have done Muay Thai. I would have,
Yeah.
I would have got right into that when I was a kid.
Yeah, but coulda, woulda, shoulda, right?
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Don't wait until you're in your 40s. That's for sure.
Exactly. So the quote is the best time to do something that you love was yesterday.
Yeah.
The next best time is today.
It's now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's now. So, yep. So let's see. Oh yeah. Here we go. The woman of Hence Combat Sports MMA, which I wrote a blog post about this, BJJ, whatever, combat sport you're into. Emily, Nora, and Shino. I wrote a blog post about them. Okay. And this is going to be interesting. Okay. Because I'm going to take this into another direction. Just a backstory. I was training this girl, and I talked to Shino about this when she was here on the podcast. I was training this girl, and, she was a little bit on the petite, fragile, skinny side. Right. And I was teaching her like real kickboxing, right? And kudos to her. She wanted to learn. She showed up. She got better. But then I think she had this false sense of like self-defense where she thinks like if a guy were to creep up on her, she could like completely destroy him. At least that's what I was getting out of it. And I kind of had to put her on like a reality check real quick. I was like, strength does matter. I know you gotten better. Kudos to you. But attributes do matter.
Totally.
And coordination, strength, and all that. Now, that's kind of why I really wrote this blog, because when you go with Emily, Nora, and Shino, particularly in BJJ, because, that's where I like spar with them, mostly not in like Muay Thai or anything. But in BJJ, these girls are fucking animals, man. And the reason why I said that backstory is that it brings me into a whole new light. Not that I thought just women were just fragile. I'm just saying like these girls are on another level. These are trained fucking killers. Like these girls.
Yeah.
So I'll start off with Emily. She has a background in sports. So softball, and then a softball coach. And when you play sports as a younger person, it translates. Your hand-eye coordination translates into like martial arts. And that's what she is. Her words, not mine. She's on the thick side of things, but she knows how to use that. She knows how to utilize her body type very, very well. Like you can't breathe when she's on top of you because she knows how to distribute her weight. And that's due to coordination and from all the sports that she's, taken in. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Dude, any sort of athletic endeavor when you're younger is going to translate into something when you're older.
But you don't realize that at first, though, because every domain is different, right? Just because you play basketball doesn't mean you're going to be good at football. But then...
No, but you're still training your body to do something that it isn't supposed to do. So
I guess what I'm referring to is that I was a big basketball player when I was a kid. Not a big, in literal terms, but like... that was my sport. That was my jam. Okay. I love playing. I played like we were talking about in the streets.
You and Manny Pacquiao.
Dude. Yeah, exactly. Dude, that's a Filipino thing. And like basketball is huge down there.
And billiards.
And billiards. Yeah, exactly.
Karaoke.
Right. Ironically, for basketball, since Filipinos, like the average height is like 5'3" or something. Yeah. But yeah, we just love to play basketball. But what I noticed when I stuck to martial arts, I didn't correlate that in the beginning, right? But I'm starting to, and it took me years. I'm like, oh, there's these certain nuances in basketball that you could implement in here. So when I try to pass someone's guard, it plays like the lateral movements that I do in basketball, I do in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
So anyway, going back to Emily, you can see a lot of that athleticism when it comes to the crossover and what she did. And she probably did crossover sports between softball and, other things.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's one of them. I'll move on to Nora. Nora is just a different beast, right? She just competed at a high level against like the most fucking famous jiu-jitsu players out there as far as women. And man, that's self-explanatory within itself.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to my point, bro, and Nora's she's like the female version of Jackson. If you didn't know that she rolled in jiu-jitsu and she was a complete animal, you just think she's like the sweetest girl, which she is. But then, you know, like say in her street clothes, she's just like a regular looking girl, like, you know, a sweet looking girl. And then you get in the gym with her, she'll completely tear you apart.
Yeah,
she's not like the fragile. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, if you go pound for pound with her, she'll fuck you up.
It's the triple G illusion that we were just talking about earlier.
Exactly.
And I love that.
Yeah.
You know, I love when things aren't supposed to be what they seem to be.
Yes.
You know?
It's like a paradox kind of thing.
It's a paradox.
Yeah.
And I like that in just about all of life, you know?
Yeah, I love that. It's like a backwards law almost. It's almost like, well, you should be that. It's like a Jordan Peterson quote where he said, I mean, he was referring to men, but he said something like, you have to be like a dangerous man, but keep it under control.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like that reference as far as like looking the part.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys out there and a lot of girls too.
Yeah.
But mainly guys that look tough.
Yeah.
That aren't.
And you know what's crazy about this? And I'm going to go off a little bit on here before I talk about Shino, because shout out to Shino.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what I experienced at the gym? Again, I want to make a disclaimer that I'm not like gloating at all, but then being an evolutionary psychologist, let me put the tinfoil hat on.
Yeah.
With evolutionary psychology is people will judge you before they actually say a word to you, right? So when you walk into a room, we've talked about this before, but then that's what I feel when I go to these gyms. So that relates, because when you say, you know, some of these guys are tough, bro, when I walk in, dude, there's a certain aura about like, not just me, but like a martial artist that's confident about himself. And I'd like to believe I carry myself that way, you know, when I walk into like a weight room. Not that I'm like dogging everyone out. I'm just doing my thing, about to work out. But they know. There's something about this fucking guy. And I could feel it. You know what I mean? Again, it's subjective to me, right? I could be wrong. Who knows? But then I've noticed it. I used to be one of those guys before I started training where I'd look around and be like, he's not so tough. He's not so tough. Nah, I don't give a fuck.
Sizing the other guys.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck anymore because I know what I can do and I know my limits, right? I know my limitations. I'm not like the best. A lot of people kill me, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of that too. You know, but then when I walk in, you're almost on the top 0.999% that train, right? So knowing that statistic, it's almost like, whoa, who else trains here, really? It may be one other person that goes once or twice a week, right? You still have it in your head. But then saying that brings you a lot of confidence. And I think people could reek the fuck out of that. They could read it.
Absolutely. There's a sense of confidence knowing that you can hold your own. And
you're not, at least you're not at the mercy of someone.
Yeah.
When shit goes down.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the nature of the society we live in. I mean, there's weak people just project themselves in a certain way. Yeah. And it's usually in the opposite way in which they actually are, you know what I mean? So that's just the way, it's especially true for guys. I mean, we're guys that
for sure
been a guy for 46 years now.
Wired.
You know, it's,
And
all the, you know, the guys that have been bullies throughout their lives or general assholes or, you know, project themselves in that sort of way, they're just usually weak people.
Yeah,
you know?
it's true.
That's why whenever you walk into an MMA gym, everyone's just incredibly friendly.
Exactly, because they know.
Yeah,
they know. Like they're
it's the nicest place you'll ever go to.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, like we were talking. I don't want to derail on the conversation.
No.
We were talking about I told you about the yoga retreat that I went to in Bali, and you know, I've never been around a bigger group of dicks in my life. You know, but that's supposed to be this all-encompassing, you're one with nature, one with your fellow brother.
It's a status game.
Yeah, but no, it wasn't. I mean, it's filled with trust fund babies, and no one has seen any adversity. You know, it's just there you go. But it's the opposite. And that's the paradox. Is like you would expect something different by going to a yoga retreat.
Yeah.
And then you would expect to walk into an MMA gym and everyone's, fuck you. And this is, and it's the complete opposite of what you expect.
That's so interesting.
Pretty crazy, right?
It is. It's a paradox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like that about life.
Yes. Exactly. I agree. But going back to Shino, got to give her props because she's more of a petite. She's really petite, right? Girl. And it's like, it's one of those things where you see her and then she's this harmless small girl. When you start rolling with her, the difference is that she knows, again, just like the other girls, she knows how to play to her body types, to her own body type. Like I said, she's very aware of like how to utilize her body to her like weight size and all that. She's more flowy, but then she also knows how to distribute her weight in the right places of how of how more petite she is and smaller she is. And she also trains in MMA. And I'm sure, I haven't sparred with her in stand up, but then I'm sure she hits like a truck. I already know, not like a truck maybe, but that she's very coordinated and probably precise. Just rolling with her, I can fucking feel it. You know what I mean? I could like envision it. If I sparred with her, if I get hit, it's probably like really precise and really accurate because she knows how to use her abilities.
I wonder where that, because for example, I mean, like I weigh more than you do, probably by what, 10, 15, 20 pounds.
Yeah.
But you're far more powerful than I am. And I know that has a lot to do with technique, but there's also something, because there's also something that you really can't explain. Some people just have strength or punching power. Again, going back to Triple G, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but one of the hardest hitters ever in boxing.
Dude.
Roberto Duran, another a good example. Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yep.
Skinny dude, I mean, so, and there's a lot of those guys in the gym too.
Yeah.
The slender guys that have just a ton of power. And power is supposed to come from, your body weight.
Sure.
So that's something that always fascinated me too, is just,
sticking along with those topics, like there's also certain like nuances, like, we talk about power, but then, so I talked about this with Evan Elder, who we just talked about, and then Floyd Mayweather's jab and his jab, as he was saying, ain't the same.
Exactly.
Ain't the same. Yeah. And Floyd Mayweather's like he walks around, whatever, at his slender body weight.
150 maybe?
Yeah. But then when he jabs you, it's not like, not that I would know because I never got jabbed by him, but then I can already feel it just thinking about it.
Yeah.
When he jabs you, it's not so much of like a knockout jab, it's more of a peppering jab.
Yeah.
So that's the worst kind. It reminds me of Jackson because that's what he does. He peppers you,
yeah,
and he'll fucking knock you out when he smells the blood in the water.
You can only take so many of those jabs.
Right. But then I think most people that don't train martial arts is like, where's the knockout, right?
Yeah.
We're pro athletes. They're like...
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And that's what I learned from my MMA coach is that you see all these hard-hitting combos, but really you're trying to hit them with that one piece.
Yeah.
Right? It's 4 pieces, but you're trying to get them with that one shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or take out, I mean, just a great example is just taking out the legs.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see that a lot in Muay Thai. I mean, a lot, there's a lot of guys who just go for the legs.
Yeah.
And once your legs are gone, everything else goes.
Everything else goes. Yeah, exactly. That's the same for the body. Yeah. Right? You know, you hit them with a lever, you're gone. You're gone, dude.
Right.
Yeah. That's why it's heavy emphasis on, and that's another thing is that, well, anyway, we're done with our points. So, shout out to the people that, I really got to, and we'll do a part 2 because there's a lot more of like the blog, wrote. Like I didn't get to Shane Shapiro. I really wanted to emphasize that and the minor, the nuances of what he's gone through. And we'll definitely do a part 2. But yeah, going back to what we said, it's different, man. People, like you said, when I spar you, right? You have to play to your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, even though you think, I'm powerful, if we were to like grapple strength for strength, you'd dip me out every time just on weight alone. Like meaning
Just
you
this weight.
just weight alone.
Yeah.
Like if there was no technique, say if we were just,
Yeah.
going body for body, right? Same skill for skill, even skill for skill, you'd just from your sheer body weight, right? Wrestling again without technique, you'd probably destroy me.
Have some leg up.
Yeah.
Because that's why there's weight classes. There's weight classes for
Yeah, sure. And then that's going into another thing. That's why martial arts, I love doing it because it's just a full expression of who you are. Because you can make it your own. It's almost like you're playing a video game. You can copy someone, but then it'll end up completely different. So when I show you something, it's not like you're going to fight like me. You're going to fight like you. Because even if I show you the same jab, your body type, your biology is going to come out way different.
And I can't fight like you. There's I just don't have the agility, the speed or anything. But I can take some of those techniques and say, okay, I see how he's doing that.
Yeah.
And then you start emulating it, and then it becomes your own thing because it's, you're doing it with your own body, not his.
Yeah, it's like neuroplasticity, right? It's kind of like you're learning. You're learning, you're connecting the dots, but then you're learning in like your own way.
In your own way?
Yeah, in your own way. And then that's the beautiful thing. But anyway, yeah, shout out to, everyone I talked, John Wood, Jerry, Jordan Levitt, Evan Elder, Shino, Nora, Emily, Jackson, and Nas. Yeah, I mean, just from those names, man, and just from talking to them, I've learned a lot, and I feel indebted to, do this podcast because of what I learned from them. So anyway, well, thanks for coming on, man. Welcome back. Good to have you back. Back to training. Back to the grind.
Back to the grind.
Exactly. All right, man.
All right.
Till the next one.